All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Canada Hoops. It's your boy Maddie. Thank you for your continued support. Please keep downloading and sharing us. Visit our YouTube channel. Hit us up on Instagram and X.com. Our guest today represents Toronto, Ontario. He is a former Laurentian Voyageur, Ottawa Blackjack, and is currently playing in Romania for CM Volcha. And of course, he has represented Canada basketball on the senior men's national team. He is Kadre Gray. Kadre, thanks so much for joining us on Canada Hoops, man.
It's an honor. It's an honor. I've heard great things, so I'm happy to be here. Let's get to it.
Yeah, appreciate that. Just a busy time of year. Right in the middle of the season. Just want to check in, man. How are things? Let our listeners and the Canada basketball community know how you're doing and just kind of where the year is at right now, man.
Just basically finishing up, kind of our second FIBA breaks. For some countries, it's still ongoing, but this is kind of the time of the season where it's the last push. You're setting yourself up for the playoffs, where I'm playing at least, and we're doing pretty well. We're fourth in our league right now, so we're trying to put ourselves in a great position to have that home court advantage, especially for the first round. So it's all right now. Just got to be locked in. That's what it's about.
Love it. And I know we touched on it real quick before we recorded, but just in Romania, you're liking the situation and the culture. Just kind of maybe speak on that, man.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect. August when I signed here, didn't know. Honestly, it was just every year. I think for every guy, it's really a leap of faith that we're all taking going into a new situation. Didn't know much about Romania, but since I've gotten here. Coaching staff, the people here have been great to me, and just a place that I enjoy. I don't know how to put it all into one sentence, but I feel I like the environment. I like where I'm at, and we have an awesome fan base here, which I was just talking to one of them last night. It's something that I'll never forget. No matter where I go, I know it's gonna be hard to match this fan base.
Yeah, no, I love it. Man, the senior men's national. Did you get a chance to see the game last night or any of the highlights?
Yeah. It was unfortunate loss. I always feel it no matter where I am, whether I'm a part of the window or not. Just what no matter what the result is. Obviously wanting the guys to come together for such a short period of time and then have to execute on a big stage. So there's a lot of pressure there, but I know we got Mexico in the next couple of days, so yeah. I'm sure the boys will bounce back. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, everyone's hoping anyway. It was a tight game and a couple tough turnovers in the game there, and then I don't know. FIBA's got some that floor looked really tough. I thought the guys were slipping a lot.
Yeah. I can speak to that. Honestly, I've played out there a couple times, and those floors, they're not like the hardwood floors that we have up north. So it's a lot different. They are slippery, especially the stickers. So I know the guys who fell, who experienced that, they're gonna remember that for sure.
Yeah, it was. You could just, I swear, you could see the humidity through the broadcast, man. Like everyone was just like sweating. It was so warm in there. Nate was on the sideline sweating like crazy.
Yeah.
It was like,
yeah.
So I don't think the condition was the best, but big game on Monday versus Mexico, and I'm sure the guys will play a lot better. Hey man, like I want to talk about just growing up in Toronto, how the game started to come into your life and take shape for you. Just touch on that, and if you played any other sports, man, just talk about loving hoops.
Loving hoops started literally as a baby. Honestly, some people always ask me like, when did you start playing? And I always say I'm like, as long as I can remember being on this earth. Like that's how long I've been playing. I have an older brother, so he was kind of he was a big time hooper, and so he just just playing with him every day, kind of just how my skills got to grow and how I kind of fell in love with the game because we used to always play in the backyard. But I was also like a multi-athlete growing up. So I played every sport. I played soccer, played rugby, I did track and field, like you name it, I probably did it. Just enjoying, honestly, just being around every sport, you meet different people. And I think that's what I also enjoyed in that process. And it helped me learn on different skills because everybody thinks, basketball is just basketball in terms of like coordination, but there's different types of coordination from other sports that you can grasp to bring that into basketball. So I think having that background and that knowledge growing up, it helped me to further my skills in basketball as well.
Yeah, that's a cool take, right? I think I think we're seeing a lot of players now get really kind of specialized and only play one sport. And then if we're talking about basketball in particular, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's a different sort of, you know, scene now, if you will. And so your brother was an influence on you in the game, obviously. Did you have like a favorite player you loved as a kid growing up? Somebody whose game you really liked?
Whew. Um, I always like. I think of myself as like. I mean this in a good way because the people that I was stealing moves from, they're obviously great players. So
Yeah,
I always think of myself as a great stealer. Like if I see something that I like, I'm definitely taking it, and like I don't feel bad about it at all.
yeah,
I always watch guys like Tracy McGrady growing up. I mean, obviously Vince Carter.
yeah.
Uh, I mean, Derrick Rose was my number one. I mean, I can speak
Nice.
to that. Derrick Rose was my guy. Just loved the way he played, his humbleness, his meekness, something that rubbed off on me a lot. And then Damian Lillard, as I kind of got a little bit older, and he was the new guy that came on the scene. But I always had a love for just the guards. Like I think I was fascinated about the way that they get to their spots, their shooting. That part just kind of what I fell in love with.
Yeah, it's I like asking that question, because it's who kind of helped influence your basketball life and game, and
Even
there's all
Brandon Roy, I forgot to mention him. Brandon Roy was
nice.
a big influence on me. Um, People always tell me, joke around, say I play like Andre Miller.
I
Just
could see
honestly,
that. Yeah,
just Lowry's the other one that I get to.
yeah.
Just a lot of, I mean, all of them are great in different ways, and so I think I never like put it down. I always said, you know what, like maybe there's something that I could take from their games that I could add into mine, and just build upon, and that's how you become unique. So.
Did you ever meet any of them? Like now that you're a pro too, do you ever come across any of them or?
No, I don't think I've ever met any of them. I don't think
Okay,
so. I did watch Derrick Rose play when I
yeah,
was a young child, but never got a chance to meet any of them. So,
gotcha.
but I did actually. It's funny because I watched Leandro Barbosa when I was younger as well. He's another big time Brazilian blur, and
Yeah,
I ended up playing him actually in my first Canadian national team window. I played him, so that was kind of a neat moment just to kind of see someone I had watched on TV. They spoke big about in the NBA. He had a good stint there, and I got to play him. So it was kind of neat things along the way.
yeah, cool. I think people have kind of mentioned, like other guests is kind of maybe as big as the basketball world might seem. It's also can kind of get small at times too, and people cross paths in any way, right? So,
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely, absolutely.
what about you're working on your game and you're in high school at a time when you're just being a kid too, and you got your boys, but maybe thinking about really taking this to the next level and want to pursue it further. Just touch on that time in your career, man.
Um, I mean, dating back to like I think from being from young, I don't know what the age was, but just like very young, that I always knew I'm like, the goal was to play in the NBA, and I think as I got older, I was like, you know what, like maybe that won't be, I can't get to the NBA right now, and I was really talking about wanting to be a pro all along. And so,
Yeah,
um, you know, I think throughout my years, like obviously, like any athlete, I think you go through adversity, you go through times where your resilience is tested. And I mean, throughout my high school, like I had ups and downs. I didn't have necessarily a beautiful story. Like I think I had my ups and downs for me to really find out if I really wanted to be a pro. And I think when I got through high school, it was like, okay, I'm capable. Like I'm really capable of really doing this. I just got to continue to work, put the work in, surround yourself with good people. Um, and I think that's kind of where, I always say it's like a test of your mentality. Like you have make or break points throughout your life. Um, and I think every single time I kind of hit one of those points, it was kind of like I got through it. I got through it through my faith, through just believing that like, the Lord has a plan for me. Like I just got to stick it out. Whatever the storm is, it's for a reason. It's something that I have to take down the line with me. So I need to go through it now. And so, there's a lot of people a part of that story. There's a lot of little mini stories along the way as well. But I mean, to kind of sum it up, I think, just really it being about my faith, being about just leaning on the Lord for understanding in times where I felt like I didn't understand why I was going through what I was going through. certain struggles and basketball not panning out the way like I wanted it to be. Like when you think about like NBA players, everybody thinks about like, you know, they were always the best player. And that's not necessarily the truth. You know, they have to go through something, I
Yeah.
think, for them to become NBA players, you know, the defining moment. So, yeah.
No, well said. I mean, everyone's story is different and it's unique. And I think that, a great message, right? If anyone's listening, especially a younger player, they're like, hey, the path may not always be easy. And, um, you, and you've had a great career. Like you've worked hard and persevered. I got to ask about Laurentian because if anyone doesn't know, amazing career there. One of the most decorated players in USports history. Um, Playing for Shawn Swords,
Yeah.
the entire Swords family has joined us, and we're grateful for that. Just
Yeah.
keep on going there, man, and the impact, and I'm sure the
Yeah.
Swords family, big impact on you. I just want to, hear about your time there, just because, you won Player of the Year through your time, like just a hell of a career, man. That probably really set you on this path, eh?
Yeah. I mean, I won't speak to necessarily like all the awards because I mean, I think that was a product of like just the people that were there. I want to give them a lot of credit because I
Yeah,
mean, I don't become MVP by myself. You know, it takes Shawn Swords. It takes Shawn Swords' family, being a part of this process for me to get to where I get to. And also even going a little bit even further back, it starts from my recruiting trip, like somewhere I never thought I would be. I went up with another player that I played in high school with, Josie Thomas, and he, it wasn't my intention to go to Laurentian. I just went up there. I was like, you know what, I want to play some basketball. Like, I know he's looking at you. He'll want you to play. So let me just hop in the runs and see how it goes.
yeah,
But it turned into something super beautiful. Like there was a lot about Shawn I didn't know. I remember walking into the gym and like I saw his jersey and I saw his Canada jersey up on the wall, and I was like, I didn't find out that was him until leaving my recruitment trip. So that was kind of neat because if that kind of sums up like the level of humbleness Shawn has, like he has this historical piece behind him.
yeah.
But not once did he ever bring it up because he was just like, such a down to earth person, and I think that's something that I gravitated towards because that's kind of how I carry myself. I try to carry myself the same way. So just seeing a person who had so much accomplishments, but yet, he would treat you just like any other person. Like he's not treating you like he's better than, lesser than. That was kind of like, I felt like I needed to be there too, because that was going to help my development under a person who really understood me or can understand me. And then sure enough, I mean, just my teammates. Like I think I had some great teammates. I came through at a very unique time where there was a transition between seniors and a new age coming in.
Okay.
And we had some incidences, but I mean, it worked out that my first year I was able to achieve so much, like being rookie of the year in your first year, and also leading the country in scoring.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think when you have those features, like in your first year, gives you the confidence to believe that you can be the best player. Like why not you? And so I think that's kind of where it just took off. I mean, obviously working on your game, I don't need to talk about work ethic because anybody who's, doing stuff at a high level, they understand that piece. But, like I said, like Shawn, people in the staff, just even the school, like the school that I was in, human kinetics, I had a lot of help from wonderful professors. That helped me on my journey, just helped me with schooling, helping me like understand what I need to do to get by. Because I wasn't academic all Canadian. That's something that like I will talk about because I'm like, that was super big
Hell
for
yeah.
me. Be an
Yeah.
excellent student while playing basketball. So, and that's, hats off to my profs. They helped me get to that. They helped me, just take advantage of like my education because they're like, you're not going to play basketball forever. So, and also just seeing that as a challenge, we're competitors. So, when we go on the court, I want to beat the guy across from me, but why not apply that type of mentality to the paper, the exam that you're about to write? So just kind of like that turn of thinking helped me a lot. And then obviously like my wife now, I mean, I can't speak much about her. She's just, honestly, she's been like my number one supporter, and she's my number one hater in a great way, because, you know, she's always, she wants to make sure that I'm competing at my best. So she, you know, she's my number one fan, in the sense that whenever, you know, I have a bad game, like, she's gonna let me know about it, and she's always gonna give me the truth. And that's what I appreciate about her, because that's, I think, how I get the best out of myself as well. So, you know, number one fan right there. Even the youth, there's so much people I can speak about from Laurentian. Like, maybe she sees this interview later, but her name is Ella. She was like my number one fan, just supporting me from the sidelines. Just wonderful. Like, just the energy from Laurentian, the community, was something, it sticks with me for a lifetime.
Yeah, I love that, man. I've heard that it's a great place, and you know, I think there's a real great community there, and obviously, you know, Shawn as a coach and former player had a lot of success and probably really um, set a great path for you and many other players, right? And you know, one thing when Shawn joined us, because I had him and Savvy together uh,
Yeah,
on a joint episode. Um, and so I watched Shawn in the 2000 Olympics, right? Like that's when I was really like hooked on the program.
yeah.
So I'm starting to date myself, but um, you know, we're getting ready to record, and Shawn was like, "Hey, Maddie, tell me about you, man." Like he's
Yeah,
like, "Tell me about, you know, why you do this, why you love the game," and uh, you know, he wanted to know just more about me and my story, and so
yeah.
that was cool. So what you're speaking about with Shawn, just you know, it's on point. It makes a lot of sense, and that family as a whole, and
Mm.
you know, when you're at Laurentian and you're going through that, and you know, the time flies by. Like, what was the mindset in terms of turning pro? Like, obviously, that was a goal. You knew what you were gonna do that, but just touch on how that starts to happen, that transition, man, when you leave there and now you're starting your pro journey.
Yeah, I think, I mean, honestly, when I think back to my time at Laurentian, like, the thought about going pro, it's funny because all that time I spent, you know, with my individual workouts with Shawn, he was always teaching me in the workouts how to play like a pro. You know, sometimes I'm wondering, like, why am I doing running away, baseline, fadeaways, like jumping as high as possible? And he wants me to jump as high as possible. And I didn't realize it until I started playing pro why he wanted me to work on those things. So I think once I started to deal with like the agents, dealing with those pieces, like around my fourth year, when I was ready to graduate, I think that's when it all came together. You know, I was doing those workouts, just doing those workouts, but now it was like, no, this is what I was doing those workouts for, to set myself up to be a pro and to be
Right,
a great one, you know? So, but oddly enough, I mean, that didn't happen smoothly, because as soon as I graduated, the following year was COVID.
right,
Um, and so I unfortunately didn't get the chance to play anywhere. I think basketball was the least of the world's issues at that time, so I won't speak much on that because there's a lot of, you know, other things going on. But you know, I didn't have a chance to play anywhere. My what should have been my first year pro. So I spent most of my time working out with Savannah, Sila, and Shawn. You know, we were
yeah,
working out the driveway, just working on floaters, left hand floaters, you name it, we was working on it. So you know, it wasn't traditional, but I think it also helped me work on my mental health and helped me work on like my mental capacity, because I mean, the other thing that's unspoken about is, you know, when we're overseas, like, we're not with our families, we're not with the people that we were used to being with every single day. So you know, I got to work on that before actually coming overseas. And then I got the chance to play, where was it, Ottawa Blackjacks, right
yeah,
before my first contract to Spain. So very, what you could say, you know, untraditional route. In fact, during that COVID year, I was actually considering, because I got my degree in human kinetics, health promotion. I was considering being a doctor, so I had applied to medical school. That's actually the
wow,
trajectory, how things could have been differently. So yeah, it was a wild year, wild year. I went through a lot. I went through a lot, so much that I was considering this path, because I was like, basketball's clearly not working, and who knows where COVID and the world situation is going to lead to. But I stayed with the process. I still kept working on my game, and you know, and then I was like, you know what, if the opportunity comes, I'll be ready. But if not, something else is on the table. And, I was thankful that, I took my education so seriously that that was an option. That was a great second option if I wanted it to be. So, but then, yeah, so that was a lot happening in that transition to becoming a pro. And, I gotta tip my hat off to my wife, because during that process, she knows me so well that she knew that I wasn't acting right. She knew that I was suffering mentally.
Yeah.
She would she'd say, "Oh, go work on your game with Shawn. Like right now, you're in the mood. You're in the mood for no reason, and that's just because you can't play basketball where you want to play basketball right now." And she just kind of opened my eyes to the bigger picture about life. That basketball isn't everything. It's about the people around you. It's about, you're blessed to have an education, so don't take these things for granted. And so just all those little things are part of the story that you look back on and you're like, if that person didn't say that, maybe it could have been different. So support is like undefeated. It's undefeated.
Yeah, I know, like, man, like that was a weird time. So other guests they had that situation as well, right? Looking to go pro or maybe start their first year in college or in
Yeah.
university, and it's like things were shutting down and trying to figure out how to stay mentally right and stay ready for the game. You've played in a few different spots now. I think Spain, Poland, Germany, Romania. If I've
Yeah.
missed anything, correct me. But you got a favorite stop so far? Maybe one that stands out overseas?
Whew. Um, okay, location wise, Spain.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, to be obvious.
yeah.
But playing wise, I really enjoy my time here in Romania. It's been really nice. I think we
Nice.
gotta. I mean, in terms of me contributing to a team and being a part of this process and like kind of the inception to like where it is now, we're in a playoff spot. So I haven't been here. I haven't been in these shoes before. So I'm super excited for what we can do. And I believe, I believe we can raise a banner at the end of the season. So it's really special. But Spain location was beautiful. To go into your first year, like I was literally living right by the ocean. Like I don't think it gets better than that for
No
a
doubt.
first year contract. So yeah, I was blessed for that experience as well.
I got to ask you about the 50 piece
Yeah.
this year, man. Monster game.
Yeah.
I think Canadian record like for that league, if I'm right.
Mhm.
Um, and did you feel like it was happening, man? Like you just like anything pregame, like wake up that day, like yeah, man, like woke up feeling dangerous. Just talk about maybe because that's no joke, right? Like you're gonna be feeling really, really good, and to have that kind of game, just talk about maybe how you're feeling, man.
Yeah. I mean, let me first say that like it was a game like no other in the sense that anytime, I don't know many basketball players that can ever speak to being in 5 overtimes. That might be a
Yeah,
hand, and only a few. So that right off the gate just makes it a memorable experience because I've never played that much basketball in one night
yeah,
ever.
yeah,
So that part for me is historic, and doing it along some guys that I know, like even after basketball is all done for all of us, like we're still gonna talk and we're gonna have that story a part of it as well. So that's awesome.
yeah,
Um, but when I think back, actually, funny that you say that because when I think back to maybe a week after it happened, I was like, what did I do like that morning that like, I got to replicate every single time. But I'm not like a superstitious person, so I don't believe in any of that. But I was wondering because I was like, maybe I could like add that to my routine,
for
just
sure.
trying to create more consistency. But honestly, typical. Like it was a typical day for me. Nothing changed. Nothing was different. In fact, when I tell this story, I'm like, I actually got off to a bad start at the beginning of the game. In my belief, I think I maybe had like 8 points in the first half or 10 points. So like you can just imagine, like it didn't start off well. In fact, my teammate was looking at me. He's like, "Hey, like you got to get it going, man. Like, come on. Like, you're taking too long. Like, what are you doing?" So
Right.
it was, I kind of call it, my wife and I termed it like just the second chance game where I got a second chance because of the 5 overtimes to pick it up. And the Lord helped me with that because it wasn't going well at the beginning. Even though we were winning, we were doing well, we were taking care of business. But in that second half, the other team made a run. They cut the lead that we were up 15 and they cut the lead immediately. Went on like a 15-0 run to start the second half. And so that was when we had to start climbing our way out of this. And so that's when the points started to fill in. And I mean, the rest is kind of like history. I went to the line a ton of times, some and ones. So that always helps too when you can get some and ones, some easy ones. And then, just getting down to like the third overtime, fourth overtime, fifth overtime. At that point, I mean, I just say it's about mental toughness. Like,
Yeah.
I believe if I'm on the court at that point, where all of us on the court are all in similar predicaments. Like, we're all fatigued, we're all tired, like you name it, we're all feeling the same thing. So I think the only thing at that point that matters is who wants it more. Whoever wants it more, it's going to show right now, because that's what's going to take your team home. So, I kind of felt like, because I had a bad first half, I got a lot of making up to do. So, it worked out really well, because those third quarters, the third overtime, fourth overtime, I just kind of found myself finding that extra gear, being in great shape, and it showed. I was feeling great until after the game. That's when all the
Yeah, well, hey man, just hearing you talk about it is going to be a game you'll never forget in your career, right? And one that you talk about, you and your teammates will talk about forever. And it's cool that you had that moment, and the team got the W, right? And
yeah, it matters.
That's what matters. You touched.
It doesn't count unless we win. That's what I always say.
Yeah, no doubt. You touched on Ottawa and the CEBL just for a quick sec. I want to ask you about that. How great is it that the league is really strong now, established, and then a place for you and so many other guys to come back home to in the summer and play in front of fans and family. Just talk about the league, man, and your experience so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think the league, the way it's grown since the first year that it was made, it's been incredible. It's been incredible in the sense that, better players, I think, are coming over now. I'm overseas and guys are asking me, yo, like, you played in that league, like, I want to know more. So it's growing, because that platform, that media platform is the presence is there. So to kind of hear that, I know it's growing every single year, that a better player comes each and every single year, a bigger name. So it helps bring traction. It helps bring more eyes to players that are maybe not recognized, but they have the talent. They are great. And there's a lot of I speak on the Canadian players a lot, because I feel like I got to have their back even more. But there's a lot of great players that I think sometimes don't get the recognition or don't get the opportunity. It's hard to get an opportunity, for example, to go overseas from Canada. You got to have a big time agent. Like, you got to have a lot of privilege. And so, to be a part of something like that, where it's helping Canadian athletes, raise their name, create a bigger brand for themselves, it's great. I mean, my time, every season, I mean, I played with a number of different teams, but Ottawa being my first one, it was a good, like, introduction to what professional basketball is like. When you're in college, I kind of think it's a lot more protected. Like, there's not a lot of variance. When you go pro, you're dealing with a lot of different personalities now. Coaching formats, how they do things. There's just a lot of parameters that change when you become a pro. So kind of having that introduction through the CEBL was very neat, because it showed me, okay, have an idea for this, and just your work ethic. Like, I think once you turn pro, your work ethic is more so, it's completely on you. It's on you if you want to put up shots after practice. It's on you if you want to do weights. Like, it's so that mentality of, like, just adapting, like, this is my work ethic. I'm never going to waver no matter what level I'm at.
Yeah.
That helps you. So, I mean, it was great. Every single year. I mean, obviously I had some years where they weren't as great as others, but I think even that part of the story is great, because it helped me develop consistency. Like, I switched teams in the middle of a season one time, it was crazy. Like, I wasn't expecting it at all. But also dealing with, all right, like, what happens if you get cut from a team?
Yeah.
You got to bounce back now. You can't just, hang it up and be like, have a sob story. It's not going to do you any good. So, I went through a couple of different circumstances, teams that maybe, necessarily, maybe I wasn't the best fit for. Teams where I was successful. Why was I successful there? Because, my position, the coach familiarity, like, all these different pieces. So I think the CBL's, well, my 4 years, it's been great to me in the sense that it's helped me understand who I am as like my own identity, things that I'm not willing to waver on, and teach me about my value, like my value as a player. You know, I'm worth this, and the reason why I'm worth this is because this is what I bring to a team. I bring leadership, X, Y, and Z. So things that, you know, I'm happy I got to learn it in the CBL because I've gotten the opportunity to carry it over to Europe,
Nice.
and now it's even more valuable to me. So I learned these things probably faster than I would have if CEBL wasn't there. So I mean, that's a great thing to say about the league. And I mean, every year, just I kind of find that it's going in a direction that, like, when I first was in it, I never thought it would get there. So I'm happy and pleased with that.
Yeah, they've done a great job, man. And I think focusing on the Canadian talent, like you mentioned, has been key. Like I'm in Calgary, and this will be the third season I think for the Surge coming up, and the city loves it. They've done a great job,
Yeah,
and make no mistake, you were 2023 Canadian Player of the Year in the CEBL, right? You've had success, and I think that something like that is great for a Canadian player, obviously, and the league to demonstrate, hey, we got some serious players here, and helps you
absolutely.
get a contract in Europe for the upcoming season. So it's just
Yeah,
a great product, man. They put teams in good markets that want pro hoops.
yeah.
They've been successful with that. So
Hmm.
I love hearing everyone's take on that. Because I think it's here to stay, and it's good for everyone to know what the league is about, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Hey man, here on Canada Hoops, Kadre, we love to talk Canada basketball, right? Except especially with guys that have played for the program, which you have obviously done. What
Yeah.
what has it meant for you in your career to play in the red and white and represent Canada?
Um, I mean, the first time I ever put it on, I think it was kind of like a disbelief. Like I never thought, like I hadn't even thought about Team Canada. It was kind of something that I was thought was out of reach. Like I just didn't know about it, so I
Yeah,
didn't know what it meant. I didn't know the culture. But when I got my first call, it was significant in the sense that, it was kind of like a recognition thing that, like, we see what you're doing. And we believe that you can do it at an even higher level. Just kind of like that belief. And I mean, just putting it on ever since. For me, it's been just a platform for me personally to use it as, just bringing glory to God. Like I think that's where I've always been. Um, and I think every time I put it on, I'm proud of that opportunity, to bring, you know viewers that are watching us maybe locally, like some of the guys on the team locally and they're at their teams in Europe, but now we're on one team. We're those Canadians that you've seen around in your neighborhood, or
yeah,
somewhere that you know of in your community, and now we're playing together. So just bringing that, like, it's so many things you're bringing together, community, culture, like, just a sense of belief, even for the youth. I think them looking up at us and seeing that, like, hey, Kadre plays for Team Canada. Like, he comes from the same neighborhood I do. If he can do it, like, and he's talking to me, why can't I do it? So, I think it helps things not become out of reach. When you know people, when you know attachments to that organization, Team Canada, it makes it easier. It makes it more believable, and it actually creates, I think, a stronger culture, like a stronger community, because more people are involved when they know more people in it.
yeah.
And I think that's what I've liked about Team Canada, because there's been so many guys that have come through, and we're all from different places. We're all from different communities, really. And so the network, those strings, it's like a tree. Like, we just keep growing further and further. And so, we're reaching more land as we go. And that's the beauty of it. That's truly the beauty of it.
Yeah, like um I'll ask people, like, obviously you got, the country on the front, but there's a lot of pride with the family name on the back. Like, what have the conversations been like? You've talked about playing a game at a young age. So, what are the conversations with your family like, just knowing, like, hey, I'm representing our family here too, and takes everyone's hard work to get that done to put you in that position, right? Just what are those conversations like with your family, man?
Um, I mean, they're always I mean, I don't feel like we often have a lot of conversation because they're a part of this. Like they're seeing it every step of the way.
Right.
They're seeing it from when it's not looking as beautiful to when it is looking great. The 50-point games, for example. So, they see the whole entire story before their eyes, and I think that's what even makes it even better is that we're talking about things as they're happening. We're never just talking about it when at a certain point. And so I think because of that constant communication, I mean, it makes things even easier. Like it makes things easier when you're going through it. They already know the backstory. Sometimes people don't want to talk about things because they're like, it's a long story.
Yeah.
But I don't ever have to say that part. Like they know the story. They know where it's all coming from. They know that, I played my first national team window was almost 8 years ago. Like,
Wow. Wow.
they know they know the backstory. They know all those pieces, and they're able to, I think, actually give better advice. Like my wife is able to give me sound advice just because, she's been along through it all. She knows, when I got cut from a team, she knows every feeling that I've had. She's gone through it with me. And so, just all of that alone makes it very, very like, it's a comfort feeling. It's a comfort feeling to know that we don't have to necessarily have a certain type of conversation because we're always having that dialogue is always open. And even my son being here now, like I'm in Europe, he just came with me last night, like
Awesome.
just along the way, just having conversations the entire time as we're coming back. And he's about to get to see what my life is like. He's with me, so he's going to be coming to practice. Like he's just going to see it all before his eyes. I don't got to tell him nothing. He's going to learn things that I don't necessarily have to say because he sees it for himself. So I think just the involvement altogether. I mean, for me I'm really blessed. Like I'm really blessed. I know I'm really blessed to be in a situation where, all these people are around me and, I want to be that same support for them as well. So, yeah.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah. Like, you're on the 2022 AmeriCup roster there and playing for Nate Mitchell. And obviously they're going through a window right now. And hopefully they get that done on Monday. I want to ask you maybe about that team and playing for Nate, just in terms of he's got this. He seems like he has a connection now with so many players that have played for Canada basketball. He's done a great job in a coaching role. The head coach position is kind of open right now.
Yeah.
We'll just talk about Nate and just his approach and his style as a coach, man.
I mean, when I look back to that AmeriCup, it was a roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you know kind of the backstory of it, but we were together for probably about a month,
Right.
the whole team. Some guys got cut, so it was kind of a drooling process because like you get closer with your teammates and then someone's got to go, and so I ended up making it to Brazil on the roster, and then I find out the day before we start the tournament, like I might go home. So that was kind of part of my story, and then I didn't play the game number one, Brazil, and then think some things turned around in my favor. Thanks to the Lord that I was in position to play for the second game, and then I ended up having a pretty good tournament the rest of the way through. But it started off with me potentially not even supposed to play or be on the roster, working my way on to getting on the roster and then playing in that second game. And I think that second game, not only me, but I helped take the team to a victory that game. So it was an emotional roller coaster because I went through a lot to like be in that position. And I think at the end of the tournament, I was able to showcase that, I belong here. Like I felt doubted at the beginning of the tournament, but by the end, I felt like I got to a place where I had shown, everybody, teammates, staff, and all that, I'm capable of playing. And, I think as the tournament went on, Nate kind of gave me that opportunity to, just be who I am, play as I play. And so I always find it tough because my personal game, it has some questions sometimes when it comes to certain types of needs of the team. Because I'm I'm a scoring guard. Oftentimes you have a lot of scorers. So it's sometimes you have to juggle like which ones do we want, you know? And
Yeah.
I'm not the tallest guy. So there's a lot of things for me that I always say, like, I can't afford a bad game because, you know, I'm another 6'1" guy, point guard. Like there's thousands of us. So I got to a position where, you know, the coaching staff gave me an opportunity and, you know, they were able to get me going and put me in position to succeed. And I had a pretty good tournament. I hate that we only finished fourth. We had a chance at the end to beat USA. We just fell short. But I mean, yeah, like, you know, in those tournaments where you're coming together for such a short time, you know, Nate did a good job in trying to just figure out like who's who, trying to figure out everybody's identity under pressure, you know, just trying to figure that all out. And I know it's not tough for any coach, but I do respect the fact that, you know, he was able to get us together and get us onto a point where, you know, give us an opportunity to win games. You know, so that's a skill set for a coach, for, you know, just having a team on the whim, and you got to figure it out. You got to figure out which pieces work. You know, sometimes people may not agree with you, but you got to make that, you know, that tough decision. So, you know, just big up to like the entire staff, because I know it wasn't easy for them in that America, but, you know, we found a way through. It's never easy. We found a way through.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen it, you know, at other windows I've been at, or like for World Cup qualities and stuff like that. Like, you know, you got a pool of guys that are there, but then, you know, a couple guys won't dress, right? And the decisions behind that, and like, yeah, it is a short tournament, short window, if you will, and you know, the coaches got to manage that. Who do you think is going to be the best fit? Give the team a chance to win. Who have you grown close with from your time with the senior men's national team? Who's become a good friend? Maybe a guy you didn't know so well until you started coming together with the program. Anybody stand out?
I mean, that list goes on, because I've been there for a while, so I've grown a relationship with a lot of those guys. But I mean, the guys that I frequently play with, I'd say now is Trey Bell-Haynes. Played with him a number of windows. Came to my wedding, like it was awesome.
Nice.
Jackson, of course. Cassius, Khalif, Lloyd. I mean, I would literally go on. It's a book of guys that are, you know, I've grown a relationship with. TK Thomas. I just don't want to forget nobody because I don't want to hear about it later. But there's a number of guys that, like, you know, I talk to. Like I'm messaging them right now, probably, if not. So just it's a beauty what like Team Canada or CEBL or just our journeys crossing paths. There's just a lot of beauty in that.
Nice. You know, like you mentioned some guys that have joined us, and you know, they say a lot of the same things. Just you know, the connection is forever, and they love that opportunity to get together whenever, you know, the national team stuff happens, right? So it's cool to see. All right, man. Who is your top 5 or favorite 5 for Canada basketball?
Okay.
You can put yourself in it too.
No, I wouldn't put myself in it.
Some guys have. So.
No, I wouldn't. I feel like that's kind of you know, a little arrogant, you know. But top 5. When I think about this list, when you told me about this question a little bit, I was trying to think about the OGs, the kind of the guys who paved the way for us.
Speaking my language, man.
I was like, I have to give a little bit of respect to the present. So I won't. This is not in order, but obviously I got to have Shawn on my list.
Nice.
There's another one that's kind of, for me personally, going to Laurentian University, the Pasquales.
Nice.
Just their whole family. I mean, kind of the history that they have at Laurentian. For me, I mean, I didn't know it in my first year, but once I started shattering some records, that was kind of like another name that was like, hey, like, you know, that person's done what you're trying to, the direction that you're going. So it was for me personally, it was like someone I was trying to chase, and it helped me, you know, competitively. Like, you know what, I want to be the best, so I got to keep working because that person's ahead of me. So you know, Manny Pasquale, that's a big one. And then Steve Nash, I mean, that's a no-brainer, 2-time MVP. Growing up watching him, sorry, that was another name I forgot to mention, but just his point guard abilities, because I was like, I knew I'm going to be a point guard. And then kind of the last 2 are the present. I would go with Shea and Jamal. I mean, just
Nice.
what they're doing for Canada basketball, being at the the peak right now, that comes with a lot of pressure. So I gotta commend those two for what they're doing right now in the league, and they're kind of keeping up that standard. So whoever's coming to chase them now, they know what they got to do. So for them setting that bar, that's a lot of love.
No, that's a dope five. I mean, like think about history and legacy, and
Yeah.
guys that are carrying it forward now.
And
That's
I also had my honorable mention will be Michael Meeks. That's my
yeah.
honorable. That's
Meeks.
my guy. That's my
Nice.
guy.
We're going back. We're going back with some 2000 guys. I love it. Yeah, and Meeks is still, man. He lives and breathes the program still.
Yeah.
Like shout out Mike there. I'm hoping to get
Yeah.
him on sometime. And yeah, no,
Um,
great five, man.
I'll tell you.
All right, yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of a quiet, reserved guy. He's
Yeah, but he's
he
got
does.
he's got a lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom. So I
Oh
think
yeah,
him
yeah,
him being on here would be really great for listeners to hear.
yeah, no doubt, man. No, great five. I love it. Hey, anyone? We just kind of mentioned some names, but who should join us on the podcast? Who's got other than Meeks? You already just mentioned Meeks, but who's got a good Canada basketball story that should join us, man?
Ah, I mean, there's a lot of Team Canada guys, so but I would say I gotta just OGs. I don't know too many. I'm not like big on the Canadian basketball history,
Yeah, yeah,
but I want to hear from kind of some trailblazers. I
yeah.
think
Okay,
that's really cool to hear. I always when I hear that, it kind of like last week I just went to like a Black law students conference,
okay.
and you know got to see some of the women speak there, and they were talking about how when they're looking around at the room and they see like hundreds of Black lawyers today, ones that are about to be lawyers, and they said when they just started out their journey, they were one of one. They were the only one at their law school. So to kind of hear from people from that perspective, like Canada basketball, like you were one of few, and now when you look around, you see players all over NBA, Europe, like name a league, there's Canadians there. I just
Yeah,
think from their perspective, that's profound to hear what they have to say. And so I don't know the names. I'll get back to you, but I will find
yeah.
you some names.
No, you know what? You mentioned that like the Trailblazers and the OGs, they're always a lot of fun to sit down with because like the history and the knowledge and like um obviously like I had Jay Triano and his time in the game and he's talking about playing with Eli Pasquale and others and he's close with Steve and it's just when you sit down with somebody with a lot of time in the game, it's you don't want them to stop. You just want to hear it
Yeah,
all, right? And
yeah.
yeah, no, that's well said, man. I got some people in mind, so
Okay.
we'll see when the
I know
episodes
you do. You
drop.
got it. You got this down pat, so I ain't
Yeah.
gonna tell you this.
Hey, any shout outs or thank yous before I get you out of here? And again, man, I truly appreciate this. It's been a lot of fun.
I mean, the list would be long for shout outs, but I mean, I think for
Yeah.
all the people that are, have been a part of my journey, I'm super blessed. I know I'm super blessed to have you. Support means the world. I mean, you never know how far small comments go or just a little piece of advice. It could take someone from a low place to a high place. And
Right.
so, me coming on here today was about me kind of just wanting to spread positivity, spread, just wise words to help someone in their journey because it's never easy for all of us. You don't got to be a basketball player. You could be in any field. But I want to say, you're blessed. I'm blessed on my journey. You're blessed. Maddie, thank you for having me. You're blessed.
Yeah.
I like platforms like this to spread positivity and good words.
No, well done, man. Appreciate that. And yeah, I feel very fortunate in many ways, like yourself. So it's great to get your perspective on that. Appreciate it, man.
One question for you.
Yeah.
Who's your five?
Oh man, I asked the questions here, man. No, okay, okay, and mine has a lot to do with yeah, like some guys OGs and
Yeah.
that have put a lot of time into the program, and like I'm an old hooper too, and a guard as well, so I like the guards. So obviously Steve, man. I mean, when Steve was doing his thing, like when they were in Sydney, I was 18 and I was playing in college, and I was like go to practice, get home, shower up, go get a nap, and then you'd wake up at 2 a.m. to watch Steve and Sean and Meeks and the guys, right? And Steve kind of speaks for himself. And then I love Corey Joe a lot, man. He did a lot for the program and always trying to play. And met him once after a World Cup qualifier in Victoria. Super nice guy, man. Like if Corey wasn't, a famous basketball player, he'd just be somebody you'd want to sit down with, and super humble, and always loved Corey's contribution.
Yeah,
I love, 100, and Kelly Olynyk too. Same thing. Big Kelly fan, and I got ties and family connections in Kamloops, so just always rooted for Kelly.
Yeah.
And Carl English was my very first guest.
Okay.
I've had a bit of a, just sort of a friendship with Carl, just through the game or whatever. Love Carl and his story, and super great guy. So he's in there, and then for the longest time I was like, who's my fifth? And as of late, like Shea, I'm gonna put Shea in there because he's just done so much and has committed to the program to make it something valuable that people want to do, I think, now, because it's a tough demand. I get it, like for some of these guys at that high level like that to commit and make the time, but with the success of the World Cup and then into Paris and just putting the program in a really good spot. So I think that's kind of a solid 5 for me. I just
So you bring in the past to the present. I like that.
Yeah, just great people, and I think the program has benefited from that a lot. And the players have too, no question. It's been a good thing for them to be a part of. I think if they would, get asked that, and man, it's and it's man, there's so many great players. I mean, like if I had to throw a 6-man in there, like I don't know, I'd have to sit. You think about an OG like Jay or Rowan Barrett, or my gosh, like it's. Oh man, anything else you want to add?
I think that's it. Don't let me keep going.
No, man, appreciate it. I want to thank the Laurentian legend, Kadre Gray, for pulling up. Thank you for listening. Remember to rate and review us wherever you get your podcast. Check out our YouTube channel. Hit us up on Instagram and X.com. Keep supporting Canada basketball and our Canadian Hoopers, and we will see you on the next episode.